Right, so I've got the DeWalt ToughSystem 2.0. It's the smaller one of the boxes, and it comes with the two side compartments that actually come with lids, but I quickly took the lids off, realising that they were just annoying to have to open them every time I've already opened my toolbox, so took them off both sides. As you can see, I've got my essentials in this bottom right section. It's my square ruler, my pliers, oh, there goes the pencil, leads, my Stanley blade. Not sure why I had to do that. I think it's just a compulsion every time I get it in my hands. Then I've got my earbuds, which have been a game changer lately. I don't like wearing the over-ear ones. I find them to be cumbersome and annoying, but these are great. They really take the edge off and they fit nicely in the toolbox. Yeah, I've got my nail pinchers, I've got some leads, I've got adjustable spanner, all the sort of things you might need. The right angle bit that helps you get into tight spaces with your screwdriver, my silicone tool, got my extender for my screwdriver, my electric screwdriver that tells me if anything's live and needs to be capped off by these little Wago pieces that you can see in the bottom there. That was some Stanley blades as well. These are great, the Wagos. Any extending of electricals needed, they're just brilliant little terminals. You can terminate electrics, you can cap off electrics, or you can extend. They're just superb to have. And then as you can see, I just chuck it all back in. There's not an entire amount of time taken. It's just chuck them in and they fit. It's a deep, wide, great space. In the middle, I've got my driver, impact driver and screwdriver. Both fit perfectly if you put them in how they were. Two batteries, I like to have both with me at all times. The bigger one and the smaller, lighter one, which obviously the smaller, lighter one's better if you're doing, a small job. Bigger one's great for longevity and using other tools because you can power your saw, etc. Over on this left-hand side, in the compartment, I've got all my bits for my impact driver and my screwdriver, and then the wood bits, the metal bits, the masonry bits, they're all there as well. They're not particularly well organised, but they're in that little box and everything's easy enough to find. Keeps them together. There's a few other miscellaneous bits in here. There's my hex bits, which is in this little DeWalt box, which once had a load of Posi 2s in it, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, it works perfectly to hold my hex bits. And then there's some other random bits that, why not, chuck them in, because they fit. The beauty of this is I've found it to be a brilliant use of space. It took me a long time to get to this point. It doesn't seem like rocket science, but I've honed it over the last couple of years. And yeah, middle section, set square, obviously nice and flat, easy. Boat level, slots in perfectly there. A couple of, ruler at the back there. Too big to fit into any compartment, but it slides in nicely at the back. Then I always like to have a couple of these little small boxes. I think they're a couple of quid on Amazon. They're little craft boxes, but they're perfect for keeping the essentials, different size screws, wood screws, masonry screws, wall plugs, spacers, all the stuff that you need on a day-to-day basis when you're doing that sort of work. However, if you're working on site and you don't need fixings, then the grips go in and they take the place of all those fixings, because the grips are excellent to have at all times. And if they're not in my toolbox, I just keep them in my truck because they're brilliant. As you can see, everything goes back in exactly the same, whether you've got your fixings boxes or your grips. Take up a similar amount of space. So, don't need the grips in there at the moment, so pop these back in because this is kind of my standard setup if I'm going to a job where I haven't got the fixings on site. And all you've got to do is put everything back in the right order. It's not difficult. Everything goes in lovely and easy, and there's plenty of room if you put them in the right way. Top right, measuring tape. Like my measuring tape to have its own section dedicated, but obviously there's room underneath it, so I've chucked in a little box with spacers in it and some rogue Wagos that are just falling everywhere. Forgot they were in there. There we go. Dedicated measuring tape space, which means I always know where it is and I never forget it. And that's it.